Hi, I'm Jim Ward of the Middle Country Public Library, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 36 in our History Bite series. Today we will discuss the history of fireworks and how they eventually became a staple in the United States on Independence Day. In the United States, fireworks have become synonymous with Independence Day on the 4th of July. However, their origins date back to over 2,000 years ago. In China, in 200 BC, the people in Liyun created firecrackers by tossing bamboo stalks into pits of fire. They would then turn black and sizzle, and the air inside the hollow stalks would explode. Some say the resulting noise was intended to ward off evil spirits. In 600 AD, Chinese alchemists took that idea to the next level by filling bamboo shoots with gunpowder made from potassium nitrate, sulfur, and carbon acquired from charcoal, and throwing them into a fire pit. Steel dust or cast iron shavings were added to make them sparkle. As more cultures experimented with gunpowder, fireworks soared over different countries and seas. European countries like Italy and Great Britain produced fireworks in the Middle Ages on holidays and occasions like royal weddings, coronations, and birthdays. As the ingredients for gunpowder spread to the West after the Silk Road opened up trade and the Mongols made their way to Europe in the 13th century, so did fireworks. They became a part of official celebrations, from the annual Giondola fireworks display at the Castel Sant'Angelo in Rome to the 1533 coronation of Anne Boleyn as Queen of England. Eventually, fireworks made their way to the American colonies. In 1776, the Continental Congress was moving towards independence from Great Britain. On July 1st, 1776, delegates of the Continental Congress were in Philadelphia debating over whether the 13 original colonies should declare their independence from Britain's Parliament as well as King George III himself. That night, news arrived that British ships had sailed into New York Harbor, posing an immediate threat to the Continental troops commanded by George Washington. On July 2nd, delegates from 12 colonies voted in favor of independence, and the motion carried. On July 3rd, even as Congress revised a draft of the Declaration composed by Thomas Jefferson, an excited John Adams wrote to his wife Abigail, quote, "The second day of July 1776 will be the most memorable epocha in the history of America," Adams wrote. "I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as the day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shoes, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other, from this time forward forevermore." End quote. On July 4th, after making changes to Jefferson's draft, Congress officially adopted the Declaration of Independence, though most of the delegates didn't even sign the document until August 2nd. Some impromptu celebrations greeted the Declaration's first public readings on July 8th in front of local militia troops in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, but the first organized celebration of Independence Day would take place in Philadelphia on July 4th, 1777. Quote, "Yesterday, the 4th of July being the anniversary of the independence of the United States of America, was celebrated in this city with demonstrations of joy and festivity," reported the Pennsylvania Evening Post on July 5th, 1777. About noon, all the armed ships and galleys in the river were drawn up before the city, dressed in the gayest manner, with the colors of the United States and streamers displayed. End quote. After each ship's cannon fired a 13-gun salute in honor of the 13 colonies, the festivities continued. The Evening Post reported, quote, "At night, there was a grand exhibition of fireworks, which began and concluded with 13 rockets on the commons, and the city was beautifully illuminated." Adams's hometown of Boston also celebrated that 4th of July, as Colonel Thomas Crafts of the Sons of Liberty took the opportunity to set off fireworks and shells over Boston Common. In the years to come, various cities continued the tradition of celebrating independence, holding picnics, parades, speeches, and fireworks displays for the occasion. Though Boston was the first to designate July 4th an official holiday in 1783, it wasn't a national holiday until Congress established Independence Day in 1870. By 1898, a reporter would note that, quote, "The American 4th of July is the greatest event the maker of firecracker knows," end quote. Today, fireworks are now a well-established July 4th tradition, and they've still retained some link to their origins. In 2016, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, $296.2 million worth of fireworks were imported to the U.S. from China. I'd like to thank you all for joining us for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, click like, and if you watched on YouTube, hit subscribe. Have a safe and happy Independence Day.